Hello and welcome to today's webinar hosted by the University of Buffalo School of Management, where we're going to be discussing our amazing alumni, ultimately identifying connections to success. My name is Aaron Shaw. I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment for our full-time MBA and MS programs. And I had the pleasure of being joined today by Haley and Caitlin from our Alumni Engagement and External Relations Office. Haley, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Caitlin, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining.
Happy to be here.
And we're going to hear a lot from both Haley and Caitlin as we continue on through our webinar today. So what are we going to be talking about? We're going to open up with identifying exactly who the Office of Alumni Engagement are and the roles that they serve within that office before moving on to components that everyone should be familiar with as it relates to the alumni network as a whole. And those being the Alumni Association and the role they play, the professional development that comes along with being a part of that alumni network, how alumni support the school, how our alumni get involved. And then before we wrap up here today, if you are a prospective student of any of our graduate programs, we'll talk about next steps very briefly before getting into ways to stay connected. And then at the very tail end today, of course, we'll save some time to answer any questions that you may have. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and talk about the Office of Alumni Engagement and External Relations. And I'll start with Haley by just giving us a brief overview of exactly what the office does.
Yeah, so thanks, Aaron. Just going to give a broad overview of kind of who works in our office and a little bit about, briefly about kind of what we do. So what you're looking at here is the 6 people who work within the Office of Alumni Engagement and External Relations. Cynthia Shore is our Senior Assistant Dean of our department. I am the Associate Director, and Caitlin, who is also on, is the Assistant Director. And then we have 3 other individuals who support our team. One being Cindy Zanowski. Cindy is a contractor just for the Alumni Association, which we will get into a little bit later. Derek Donovan is our data analyst within the office. And Jack DeMarco is our graduate assistant. So Jack is in his 2nd semester of his 1st year MBA program. So he'll be moving on to the 2nd year and then he'll graduate. So we tend to rotate through GAs every 2 years as they graduate. So that's a little bit about us. If you want to go to the next slide, Aaron, I'll get into kind of some of the details, some of the data about our office. So we have nearly 44,000 School of Management alumni in 87 countries. So there's a lot of School of Management alumni out there. And there's more than 273,000 UB alumni in 150 countries. And then I show the breakdown here of the undergraduates, the MBAs, Master of Science, and PhD students. So when you add this all up, there's tons of opportunity to engage. There's alumni working in just about every sector, every major company all around the world. And so as a student and as an alumnus, you have this diverse group of alumni to tap into that network as you become an alumnus or as you're a student and maybe you're interested in a particular industry or career.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you very much, Haley. And not to get too far off topic, very early on in this presentation, but for the audience, you may have recognize the fact that there's a graduate assistant position within the Alumni Association, the Alumni Engagement Office. And inevitably, that's a question that comes up, a topic of these webinars is, are there scholarships, assistantships, fellowships? So yes, here's one opportunity right here. And the folks that you saw on the previous screen are some of the folks to know as far as starting your networking journey within the School of Management as a possibility of potentially ending up there. Moving on to the Alumni Association. I don't know, Caitlin, do you want to take this one here for starters?
Actually, Haley's going to cover this.
Okay, great.
Yep, I'm going to take this one and the next one. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the School of Management Alumni Association. So people often confuse kind of the Alumni Association, which we refer to as SOMA, with our office, and they are 2 separate entities. So the School of Management Alumni Association is its own 501c3. It's its own nonprofit governed by a board of directors of alumni. There's about 35 alumni who sit on that board. The purpose of the Alumni Association is to promote, enhance, and support the welfare and educational interests of the UB School of Management, both in the academic and in the business community. And they do that through kind of fostering engagement, communication, support among alumni, the School of Management, and UB. So all in all, they're doing this to kind of advance alumni impact and success. A lot of people ask, you know, is there a dues paying membership? How can I be a member of the Alumni Association? And as of 2015, all of UB went to a non-dues membership model. And so that means that if you're a School of Management alumnus, you're automatically a member of the Alumni Association, and you're automatically a member of the UB Alumni Association. There is a few schools who did choose to keep this, like the law school and the dental school, for example, still have a membership model, but everyone else across the university went to this non-dues membership model. So we really welcome all of our alumni into the Alumni Association, and events and programs are for all of our alumni. And our office works to support the Alumni Association through all of their efforts. So through their events, through their programming, bringing their ideas to life. The next slide is kind of some questions that we get asked very often in our office. Is kind of like, you know, who's those really notable alumni that we would know? And of course, we have, you know, nearly 44,000 alumni, so some are very successful. And it's kind of those major companies that people tend to recognize. So Mickey Drexler, you know, former CEO and chair of J. Crew and The Gap is a big one. You can see on the left here on the slide, all the different companies. We have a president of Grab Indonesia, which is similar to like an Uber and a Lyft. CEO of Intel, retired president and CEO of Girls Inc. So these are just a handful of kind of our notable alumni, many of them very engaged with the School of Management in various ways. And then here I have listed kind of our top 10 domestic cities. So this is where the bulk of our alumni are. And really they're in order here. So about 1/3 of our School of Management alumni reside in Buffalo and kind of the Western New York area. And then New York City is a huge area where we have a ton of alumni. And then it kind of moves down from there. And of course, you know, we have alumni all across the United States. So you'll find pockets of them in certain places, but this is just kind of a sample of where we have those larger pockets. I also included the top 5 international countries. So Singapore, India, China, Korea, and Taiwan as our top 5 international countries. And we have a pretty robust international events team and some programming there for our alumni there as well.
One of the things that we've kind of instituted since coming to this virtual world is connecting with alumni who work within a company. So you can see here just a few examples. This isn't an exhaustive list, but we've started going in and connecting with not only School of Management alumni, but UB alumni who work in one specific company to really kind of foster that alumni network within your own organization. So these events kind of feature an update from the dean, maybe some professional development opportunities, but the goal is to really kind of connect alumni with their colleagues who maybe they don't even know are alumni working within their organization. So over 1,500 School of Management alumni have been invited to participate in these virtual events since June of 2020. We're continuing to hold them. We've got one scheduled for next month with Geico. So really, almost any company or organization that you go to work for once you graduate has a piece of a UB alumni network within it. And we work to foster that so that you have your own network with your colleagues beyond just who you work with every day. I think the next slide, Aaron.
Yeah, great stuff so far. Thank you very much. And so shifting gears a little bit, and for our prospective students out there in the audience, you know, professional development is something that starts to happen while you're still in a program. And, you know, you don't have to graduate and then come back to participate in things that we're going to talk about here. So again, I want to turn it over to Haley and Caitlin to talk about the professional development portion of being an alumni member at UB.
So we have a lot of opportunities for our alumni to work on their professional development. So many so that it would spend a whole webinar talking about those opportunities. So we've highlighted just a few here. And one of the first one listed here is exactly what you just mentioned, Erin, is an opportunity as a student to add on to your professional development beyond the program. And that's through 52 weeks of leadership, which is from our Center for Leadership and Organizational Effectiveness. And that's pretty much what it sounds like for 52 weeks. So this whole year, each week, a School of Management or guest expert comes on and talks about practical leadership insights that you can use today, that you can put into practice if you're an alumnus in the workforce, that you can go out and do. So that's an opportunity. We have students participating right now that you can take advantage of before you're even an official alumnus. Another one is Career Connector, which is a mentorship platform, and that allows not only student to alumni advice, but alumni to alumni mentorship to take place. Again, something you can take advantage of as a student and continue on with as an alumnus. Again, webinars, not this style. We actually have a webinar series through the UB Office of Alumni Engagement, and many of our faculty members and alumni participate in that. Again, practical tips that can be applied right away. Students are invited to participate. The Alumni Association has a drop-down that lets you select, I'm a student, and you can still come and enjoy those as a student and as an alumnus. And then we have a program that just launched for our executive MBA alumni specifically. But these are just, again, some examples of ways that we really work on providing professional development for our alumni and even our students as they start. Next slide. So this is a little bit of a kind of deeper dive onto the webinar series. You can see some of our faculty and staff experts here who have participated. These webinars were maybe once a month, maybe every other week before COVID hit. And now they are every Wednesday. In the beginning of kind of this remote work life, they were multiple times a week. So we have had 72 alumni, faculty, or staff from the School of Management participate, 26 since COVID started. So that's a pretty big jump, and we continue to really have our School of Management folks involved. And 13% are newly engaged alumni, which means this is the first thing they've done with us as an alumnus. And so it's really a broad opportunity to engage as an alumnus, maybe catch up from a faculty member who you haven't heard from in a while, but you learned a lot from. And as a student, get a little bit extra out of your education, maybe impress your professor that you came and sat through their webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, let's talk about the ways that the alumni support the school.
So there are, like Caitlin said, for professional development, there are countless ways that our alumni help support the school. And we just kind of picked a sample here of kind of the most recent philanthropic support that we've received. As we all know, diversity and inclusion is very important to us. And so there's been a MBA diversity scholarship established with a generous gift that we've received to support a fellow focusing on kind of making progress in this areas of diversity and inclusion. There's also a PhD diversity fellowship that was established to boost kind of the recruitment efforts of underrepresented population candidates into the school's Doctoral of Finance program. Another thing, which you can see the photo here, is something very exciting happening at the School of Management that's about to break ground this spring, is kind of this rejuvenation of a project funded entirely by a generous gift from a donor that wants to honor his late wife, Paula Agrusa. So this will be named Paula Agrusa Plaza. It's going to transform the space between Jacobs and El Fierro and Park Hall. So it's going to be kind of on both sides of that walkthrough outside of Jacobs School of Management and El Fierro Center. And like I said, this is going to break ground in the spring. So we hope it is complete, or at least pretty close to being complete, for the fall semester. So there's just one photo. I know it's going to feature a fire pit and lots of areas to sit and connect with others, a small event space, just a really great space for us to use outside so we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that should be amazing for the folks that aren't aware. Right now, that space consists of some grass and I think an unused picnic table. So quite the transformation there. It's going to be tremendous.
So we get some great major gifts like the ones that Haley just mentioned from very generous donors, but alumni are very supportive of the school on really any scale. And that has, never been true, more than now, and particularly through a couple of funds that have been recently created. So we have a student emergency fund that many of our students were recipients of at the start of COVID-19 when they lost their on-campus jobs, when they went through other hardships that, made it difficult for them to be able to continue completing their degree. Our alumni really generously gave to this fund that helped support students through a very, trying time. We also have a brand new fund for diversity and inclusion. So beyond those two fellowships that have recently been created, this is just a general fund for supporting a vibrant, diverse, and inclusive School of Management. And then we have a UB fund for the School of Management that is a general fund that really supports a lot of activities that go on within the school. We have other funds that are specific to programs such as accounting, really anything. But these funds are ways that our alumni support the activities of the school that allow our students to get scholarships and other fellowships and things like that. And really the generous support of our alumni is crucial to allowing our students to have the experiences that they're able to get while they're students with us.
Incredible stuff so far. And we've touched on it a couple times briefly at this point, but let's take a deeper dive into the ways that our alumni get involved.
Yeah, so this is another example of there's kind of countless ways that alumni can get involved, and so provided just a sample here. So these are kind of the two most common requests that we receive. So one is interacting with students. Alumni come back and they want to interact directly with current students. So this is some of the ways they can mentor students. Caitlin talked a little bit about the Career Connector program. So mentoring students kind of formally through that online platform, or maybe informally, if they have a certain interest in a student of has a certain background or studying a certain topic or something like that. They can interact with student clubs. Our student clubs are always looking for guest speakers to come in and provide content to them and provide their expertise, to share kind of your professional expertise through in-class presentations. So a lot of our students experience, alumni guest speakers on a regular basis in many of our classes. Recruiting students for internships or employment at their company. Some of the companies that Caitlin showed a little bit earlier, some of our biggest supporters for kind of internships and of course of hiring our students post-graduation. And we see a lot of that through our Career Resource Center of kind of those hires happening very early on in a student's career. And then they can also be a mentor in the Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership program. So there's lots of opportunities through that if you're interested in the entrepreneurship world. And then alumni can also connect with other alumni. So we plan a lot of events. Right now we're all virtual, but we hope to be back in person soon, and that will continue kind of some of those virtual events that have been such a success for us. And another opportunity, if you kind of want to do a deeper dive into getting involved, we have alumni who volunteer for an Alumni Association committee. So I mentioned earlier that our Alumni Association is governed by a board of directors, but within that, we have some board volunteers, people kind of just testing the waters with the Alumni Association before they make that full commitment. And they can do that by sitting on a committee within the Alumni Association. So we have committees that focus on student relations and young alumni and help with some of that programming, a faculty relations committee, a professional development and events committee, a finance committee, kind of whatever area of interest you have. There's just about a committee out there for you that you can sit on and just meet some of the board of directors and learn a little bit more about the Alumni Association. And that's a one-year commitment. And then connecting with alumni in your area through networking events, through some opportunities we have, which we're going to talk about in a minute, which is kind of experience the 50 programs, and connecting with UB alumni online, again, formally through like the Career Connector Network. So for some alumni to alumni mentorship, or through our LinkedIn group or on our social media. So these are kind of just some of the more popular selections that alumni choose, but we will also tailor certain things to alumni if they call and they have a really specific interest or area where they want to get involved, then we try to make that happen for them.
So Haley just kind of briefly mentioned our Experience of 50 program, and this is one that we wanted to kind of specifically call out and highlight today because our alumni have always really stepped up to participate in this program, but now more so than ever. So this program in its typical format is in person. We take our students to places throughout the United States to learn about those cities and industries and kind of career opportunities within those cities. And we've had students come on those trips and then move after graduation and accept jobs in places like Chicago and the San Francisco area, the Bay Area. And, you know, unfortunately, it was another thing that was impacted by COVID, even as early as March. So we quickly shifted and moved these programs to virtual. And we've visited a lot of cities. You can see the list here virtually throughout the past year. We're continuing. Haley was just virtually in the Bay Area, and in a few short weeks, I'll virtually be going to Philadelphia. But we are not only engaging students in traveling to these places, but we're doing it through our alumni. So our alumni are hosting, whether in person or virtually, at their companies to talk more about, you know, their career and how they got from classroom to that career. And we're engaging alumni beyond Western New York. So at the beginning of this presentation, you saw, you know, we have about a third of our alumni here in Western New York, but that doesn't mean that we're limited to those alumni. We connect and engage with alumni beyond our physical location here on campus. Now especially, but all of the time. And this is one way in which we are able to do that and connect our students with our alumni.
Thank you very much, Haley and Caitlin, for all that great information. And to our audience, hopefully you've got an idea now of all the tremendous things that our alumni are doing, but also the seemingly endless list of ways to connect with them throughout your time in the graduate program that you're choosing to go into, and even before then. You know, so there's no limit on when and how often you reach out. Certainly the overarching theme here is we're here to help. And speaking of helping, let's talk about next steps. Depending on where you're at in this process, if you're just starting your research phase, if you're already considering UB and you've started your application, you're inevitably somewhere in that timeline. But regardless of where that is, next steps are always going to be of utmost importance when formulating this idea of, yes, this UB, this whole thing, right? This alumni network, all the great resources and tools that come along with being a student at UB. This is definitely where I want to be. So very next thing you're going to want to do is continue that research, no matter where you are in that timeline. And that's, in doing so, connect with as many stakeholders as possible. And that can certainly include our alumni. It could also be current students. It could be other staff members such as Haley or Caitlin. It could be faculty. There's no end to the possibilities of people that you should and could be reaching out to have these conversations with and get their insight and perspective. At some point, if you haven't done so already, you're going to want to start to pull together an application. And in doing so, you're going to want to weigh the quantitative outliers versus the inward looking materials. And, you know, this is probably the best advice that I can give anybody is when I get the question, what are you looking for? You know, what are ways that I can stand out? And, you know, the quantitative outliers, think of that as your cover letter. You know, those are going to be your GPA, your work experience, your standardized test scores. And everybody that applies, A, has those components to their application, but B, has relatively similar stats. So what makes one applicant different from another? There's only one you. So when putting together those inward looking materials, those essays, and prepping for your interview, be genuine, spend time on self-reflection. Self-awareness is a great attribute to have in this process and in life, and ultimately do your research, which if you're here viewing this now, obviously you're doing, so kudos on that. And then finally, take into consideration ways to continue to bolster your candidacy throughout the entire admissions process. You know, it's not as simple as filling out the form, clicking submit, and now you're done. You know, you want to be an active member, if I can use that word, throughout the entire process. And, you know, connecting with our alumni is certainly a great way to do that. Getting your name out there, getting your voice out there, being a known entity before you even step foot in a classroom, again, is a great way and a great approach to do that. In terms of timeline, if you're viewing this and your target start date is fall 2021, depending on the program that you're applying to, the final deadline for US applicants is June 1st. Unfortunately, our final deadline for international applicants has come and gone, typically taking place at some point in February. If you're watching this with the hopes of getting an early start on 2022, then that application is going to open up on July 1st, and every program will have application rounds and decision notification dates associated with it, all which you'll see become available on July 1st. All right, so we're nearing the end now, and you know, this is one way to stay connected, right? This webinar offers one opportunity to engage with us, but there are, just like endless alumni to reach out to and ways to connect with them, endless ways to connect with all of us in the School of Management through things like Ambassador Online Office Hours, talking with current students about their experiences and their perspectives. I'm happy to set up one-on-one advising appointments if needed. There are virtual events. So far this semester, we've hosted a scholarship reception, an event that focused on diversity and inclusion. Earlier this week, we hosted Women Leading Business. Next month, there'll be a military and veteran specific event. And another one coming in May, I believe, that focuses on some of these big names that we saw Haley present from our alumni. Beyond that, there's podcasts, the Manageable Podcast. And if you're already a podcaster, add this to your playlist. If you're not, and you've been kicking around the idea of starting to listen to podcasts, why not start here? It's student run, organized, and managed, and the topics that they're covering are relevant to today and what we're all experiencing. And they do a tremendous job of really giving you some additional insight into what it's like being a student here at the School of Management. And second to last, webinar library. I mentioned it to our audience before starting the recording here, but if you're watching the recording, this webinar obviously is there along with every other previously recorded webinar. Right now, there's over 70 different options to choose from. So if you're looking to take a deeper dive into a particular program or a specific entity associated with that program, there's a good chance there's a webinar that does so in the library. And then finally, of course, social media. If you haven't followed us on social media, we're available on all platforms, and we're there. Feel free to engage with us across the board. Okay, at this point in time, I want to take a moment and open it up to questions that you may have. So if you do have them, feel free to unmute your mic and ask away. If you're not comfortable doing so, then please utilize the chat box to ask any questions you'll have, and we'll hang out for a couple minutes. Okay, well, guys, listen, you did a tremendous job because you answered all the questions during the presentation. So with that, we'll wrap up here today. Thank you, Haley and Caitlin, again. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. So I have a quick question. Thing is, in this Alumni Association portal, is there any filter to find out the right person with your past experience, what you have?
Are you referring to connecting to someone?
Correct. Okay. Yes.
So on the mentor platform?
Yes. So based on the past experience, what you have, you need to connect to the right person from the Alumni Association. So he will be the right person to guide you in a right way. So is there any filter provided to find the right person with the past experience, what is having a same with you?
Yep. So there's a few ways you can go about this. One, you can send an email to Caitlin and I after if you have like kind of a really particular area of interest that you're looking for an alumni to have experience in, whether it's an industry or at a certain company or whatever it may be, have a certain degree, things like that. We can connect you directly with an alumnus, or you can choose to use the Career Connector platform. Through the Career Connector platform, it is open to all UB alumni, but there is a specific School of Management group. So you can request to join that School of Management group, and then you can search yourself within that. It pulls everyone's LinkedIn profiles in, so you can look that way for them. Another opportunity is to use LinkedIn. So we do have a School of Management alumni LinkedIn group. So you could search that way as well, just kind of depending on what you're comfortable with. You know, we can help guide you within our office, or you can choose to use one of those platforms if you wish.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
And I have one more question. Like for UB, decision on your admission will be made on the decision date itself or as soon as possible, because I haven't heard anything back. I was waiting with my curiosity.
Yes. So the decision notification date that's noted on the website is the date that decisions will go out.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So again, that's going to do it for us here today. As I was saying, a big thank you to Haley and Caitlin for joining me today and sharing such wonderful knowledge as it pertains to our tremendous alumni. And thank you to the audience. We're glad that you're considering the UB School of Management. We look forward to future conversations and potentially welcoming you to our little family. So take care and goodbye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.